finish my workout, I'm throwing more cardio into my workouts. Not just walking, but actual legitimate cardio that puts my heart rate up because I'm not just trying to get the cardiovascular system going, but I'm also trying to get race ready. I have an Instagram page called Stay Race Ready. Race ready is different than being regular ready. Regular ready is if I had to jog to catch a bus, or if maybe like a little dog was chasing me. Not a big dog, but a little dog was chasing me. Race ready is ready to do things that you couldn't do on your average day, which requires your cardio to be above, way above the average person. As I learned in this last couple of races that I did, I think it was last weekend or maybe 2 weekends ago now. Yeah, so that's why I'm sweating when normally you see me walking and you don't see me sweating. It's not because the temperature is that hot, it's just because I actually ran and did real cardio today. And now I'm doing more cardio as a cool down. I'm gonna walk an extra maybe 3 to 5,000 steps to end off my day. But they will not all be on here because my battery is at 26%. So as soon as it hits 15%, I'm off this thing. Normally, if you've seen my history on this channel, which is now I think about 2, maybe 3 years. I think 3 years. 2 years since this channel got monetized, but I had this channel for a year before it got monetized. And I used to give a lot of positive stories about work, and I feel bad that I haven't really had any to give so far. But I finally had one today. So I was like, you know what? Since I've been sharing all these negative ones, I want to add a positive one to not quite balance it out, but at least so I can feel good that I haven't just gone 3.5 months at this place without having one good thing to say. Aside from my first day, I did have something good to say on my first couple of days. But what happened was my second to last client that I saw today. It was a client that was going through it, as a lot of them are, as all of them are, as a matter of fact. But this particular one, I have a soft spot for the clients that I get that are about the age that I was at when I got diagnosed with a mental illness. And this one, mid-20s, about the same age range as I was when I got my diagnosis. And I was looking at somebody who basically felt hopeless, like their life was over in a sense, or all their best years are behind them. And it was for different circumstances than me, of course, because everybody has different circumstances. But the point being, I came in there to do my case management thing, which is to go in there and be like, you guys who watch my channel now actually probably know what I'm going to say by now. Have you seen your doctor? Have you seen your psychiatrist? Did you go to the dentist? Did you go here? Did you see this person? Did you see your dermatologist? Let me connect you with one if you haven't. That type of thing. So I went in there to do that. But I was sitting down with this person and with their family. Hi, Shirley. And then they asked me, Mark, how did you get into this field? And I was like, well, no, I'm not a nurse. I'm a case manager. So I told them I started in this field as a peer counselor. And they were like, oh, really? You were a peer counselor? I said, yes. I spent 12 years as a peer counselor, and I just switched to case management now. But peer counseling is my background. So I said, the way how I got into peer counseling, I said, I was just like this person that I was seeing, this client that I was seeing at the house. I said, I was just like that person 12 years ago. I said, at one point in time in my life, I was on SSD, Social Security Disability. I sat in front of a judge and I forgot what those people are called. They have a judge, and then they have a person that determines if you're able to work. And I can't think of the name of it. I always think of the name after the fact, but whatever that person was that tells you whether you're able to work, and a psychiatrist. And all three of them deemed me unable to work. So there I was. Now I was receiving benefits. Now I was receiving SSD and food stamps, and I was 24 years old. And basically at that time, I'm like, I'm never going to work again. That's what I thought. And I spent about, I don't know, two to 3 years that I wasn't working, and I was just living off of those benefits. And my life was kind of sad in a way. I mean, I had a way to, my finances were kind of taken care of, and with family support, I was able to live, pretty decently over that time. But it's hard to go in front of the courtroom and be deemed unable to work because your mental illness is such an impairment that you are not able to work. Even though I've never wanted to do traditional work, I have always wanted to do something significant to contribute to society, and it was very sad to be told that I couldn't. And then I told them the story about how I started seeing a psychologist, and after the psychologist, they recommended me to go into this day treatment program where you learn different life skills. They have different groups and you learn different life skills towards getting yourself back on your feet, like a mental health rehabilitation center in a sense. They have many of these, but people don't really know about them. They're probably starting to get more well known, but a lot of people don't know that there's places like this. And I'm not talking about an inpatient rehab that you go to. There's actual outpatient centers that have clinicians that teach you life skills and ways to manage your life differently or better with having a mental illness. And that was a godsend for me, honestly. So I remember going in there, and when I first started, I would just get in there and listen to people because I wasn't comfortable talking to anybody about my problems. And then after some time had gone by, I started to share a little bit, and then I started to get different advice from the other members that were going to a particular place. And then I remember a peer counselor would actually come in once a week on Mondays. And when he came in, he would talk to us from the perspective of somebody who used to be right where we were and now turned his life around and has spent the last several years working as a peer counselor. And at that time, I didn't even know that a peer counselor was an actual job. I had never heard of that before. And then I remember after some time had gone by, now I wasn't even really talking about my issues because I felt like I had advanced to a certain point, and now I was assisting other people in that place with their problems. And I was doing it for free just because I felt compelled to do that. And I still remember the peer counselor at that place pulled me aside one day and he said, "Mark, I think you would make an excellent peer counselor." And I was like, a peer counselor? Because if you remember where I was coming from, before I had my mental illness and my breakdown, I was actually just finishing school. I had just got my business administration degree. So I'm like, what am I doing as a peer counselor? I don't want to be a peer counselor. It was kind of like, thanks for the compliment, but no, I'm not interested in being a peer counselor. Hi, everybody. I'm not interested in being a peer counselor. So he was like, you know what? you're not doing anything now, and the peer counseling certification is free. You don't have to pay anything for it. So he said at the very least, you can at least try starting the coursework, and then if you don't like it, what did you lose? You know, it's just something to do with your time. So I started going through the coursework, and I was like, this is kind of amazing. Because I didn't even know there was a coursework for this. Because when I was going through everything I was going through with my mental health issues, I was going through it alone. There was nobody telling me, this is what's happening to you. There was nobody telling me, I have been there and you can get through it. I was kind of in my own world. I was looking through things online. I was trying to find my own solutions. I was going to the library. I didn't know what to do or where to turn. And suddenly, I'm seeing this coursework that was created for the exact type of person like me who had been through those exact type of issues and can now say, I'm certified to help somebody else get through it. I'm like, you can do that as a career? I was excited at that point in time. So I did the peer counseling certification, and then my job needed a fill-in for somebody who was inconsistently doing a certain job. And they asked me if I would do a peer counseling group and as a volunteer. So I volunteered, I did the group. I think I did it like once or twice a month at first. And then eventually it became my own group that I was running once a week. Then they gave me 2 groups. I was running 2 groups a week. And then 2018, I got a full-time job as a peer counselor. And I hadn't worked full-time since, let's see, 2012. Yeah, it had been 6 years since I had worked full-time. So I got this job as a peer counselor full-time in an office. I was excited about it, but I was also a little nervous because I was like, I don't know. The last time I had a breakdown, I was on the job. So I don't know if I'm on the road to another breakdown if I accept this full-time job, but I'm going to give it a try. And despite the fact that I've spoken about so many different ups and downs that I've had, all these different peer counseling positions that I've had, and now this case management position, the biggest thing, the biggest win out of all of this is the fact that I'm still standing here. Despite all the challenges that I have faced at all these different jobs, I still feel like eventually I'm going to figure out the right thing for me. But the point is, I was telling that individual specifically that one time I was exactly where you are, and I felt just as hopeless as you feel, if not more. And now I'm so far removed from that. I said, I'm so far removed from that. I don't think I'm ever going to feel that feeling again. And you can get here to where I am and better. And the family actually said something really interesting to me. Sorry for the background noise, but it's just loud in New York. That's the way it goes. Sorry, I was just waiting for that fire truck to go by. Anyways, so I told the family, I told the family because it was just a really transparent moment. I said, I'm new to the field of case management. That's why certain things that you asked me about, certain forms and certain paperwork, I'm not like way up to speed on that. You know, I'm still learning. When somebody is like, oh, I need to request a home health aid, I don't have a list, an index of all the different agencies. Or if they tell me that they need a referral for whatever it is. If they need an endocrinologist or they need whatever they need, I ask people, I'm like, where can I find this? Can you give me this resource? You know, I always tell my clients, for the most part, I don't know that answer, but I'm going to figure that out and get back to you. I actually learned that from being a peer counselor, because that's one of the fundamental things they tell you. Like, if you don't know something, it's okay to tell them that you don't know, and you'll go back to the drawing board. But the dad in particular told me something that was so meaningful. He was like, oh yeah, I've had case managers come here that were excellent at case management work, in terms of if I needed the paperwork, or if I needed to know what direction to go to file for something, or if I needed this, I needed a lawyer, I needed a realtor, they could get me any of that, just like that. He said, but out of any of the people that we've had come here, you're the only one who has just sat here and listened and showed empathy and provided hope. And he said, I would rather somebody with your foundation, because you can learn all those other things. But somebody that just has the brain for the paperwork, they can't learn what you have. And I've been on this job for close to 4 months, and I have rarely even so much as gotten a compliment. I've had like 1 or 2 people say, oh, thank you for helping me with whatever specific thing. But that was a huge compliment, and I needed to hear just that to keep me going. But also, it brought out like the peer counseling side of me, because I was actually in that home for an hour and a half. And if you know anything about my job, if I spend an hour and a half in one place, it means that I'm neglecting something else that I should be doing, quite frankly. But it was worth it for me, because you go through this stuff day after day, and typically you're just getting depleted. Nobody is putting back into the jar. Like, you know how they have take a penny, leave a penny? Everybody just takes the pennies and then tells you don't have enough pennies for them. So I had a meaningful interaction that actually made me happy. My day was extra long. That's the only reason I'm still out here. I should have been done with my exercise a long time ago, but because I spent that extra time in that house, I'm not finished. But to end a day well like that after so many bad days in a row, I consider that worth the time. Sorry, I get very distracted when I'm reading and talking, so I've determined now that if I have a story to finish, I finish the story first, then I'll get to the comments. People who have been through it are usually the ones who make the best counselors for others. That's true. I want to go to school for business administration so that I can run the nursing homes that I work for. You only need 4 classes to take the state boards. Go for it. Because really, I find that you could make the best impact in your role, but if you are not in charge of the business, there's only so much you can do. That's a sad truth. I agree, Colleen. My struggles have made me more compassionate. Yeah, mine too. Because I was never really that compassionate until I had my own things that I was going through. You are still standing, so you already won. Thank you. You feel better when you help others. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I had a comment in my comment section, and this is not even like a call out or anything like that. But the only reason I'm mentioning it is because I made a post earlier talking about my first case manager, or one of my first case managers that I ever had, and how I felt like she was a superhero to me. And the reason why is because I had a couple of other case managers before her. And they were just like checking the boxes. Oh, have you seen your primary care physician? Here's a number, schedule an appointment. Have you done this? Oh, here's the number for this. Here's the number for that. And the meetings would be like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then it's done. And then they write their notes and it's done. So I was like, what's the point of having a case manager, as so many people say? My mom had a case manager. She doesn't anymore, because that's how she felt about the case manager that she had. But then I got this other case manager. She was like 21, 22. She was really smart. I think that she had finished her bachelor's degree, and she was doing this while she was working on her master's degree. So they were like, oh, do you want to get another case manager because the old one left? And I was kind of like, not really. Then they kind of pushed me into getting this other case manager, and I'm like, okay, let's see what she can do for me. So when I got her, she was like Iyanla Fix My Life. If you've seen Iyanla Fix My Life, it wasn't just that she was doing the case management, which was the bare minimum, make sure I'm going to the doctor and making sure I'm getting my checkups and checking my blood pressure and making sure that I'm seeing my therapist or doing all that stuff. She was actually somebody who, when she started working on my case, through conversation, was like, I know that you want to do more than just be on those benefits. And I think that you could do more. And she would encourage me. She actually helped me to get this scholarship that was offered. It was like a scholarship that I won. You give a story about your struggle with mental health and how you want to go back to school and what you want to do in school. I won this scholarship. If I had to go to the Department of Social Services, we'd hop in the work vehicle. She would take me there. I mean, my job doesn't even do that because I don't have a work vehicle. My job doesn't even have a work vehicle. But anyways, she did the most. And then she left the company. And then I got another case manager after her who did what most of the case managers do. So I didn't realize that this person was just exceptional. Not exceptional at the job, but just an exceptional person who probably was very depleted when she left work at night. And I say that because I feel like, to the best of my abilities, I give that experience to my clients. Again, I apologize. It's very noisy in New York. So, this is what I live with every day. You're a strong person, so no breakdowns to come. The thing is, once you've had one, it's something that always kind of sits in the back of your mind. I mean, 99% of the time, that's how I feel. Like, it will never happen again. But 1% of me in the back of my mind is always like, it could happen again. It is what it is, though. I've learned that it's just a negative thought. They come and they go. But they go more than they come. I rarely get compliments because if I get too many compliments, I think my coworkers are being fake to me. My coworkers never give me compliments. Actually, that's not true. I won't say that my coworkers never give me compliments. I think that my job is such an independent job that there's not much for them to compliment me on. You have many special gifts, Mark. Don't forget that, and you're not alone. Thank you, Cindy. I did have a young and hip case manager, and this was actually a case manager that was clearly against the grain. Like, things that the job told her she was not supposed to be doing, she would be doing those things. I got spoiled really because I know that what she was doing was way beyond what the case manager role requires you to do. And I actually remember the company. It was a weird situation for me overall. I worked in a building. So the place that I went to get the therapy and do that, participate in that day treatment program, that's the same place I ended up working in. So I actually worked with the company and got therapy from the company. So she was my case manager, but she was also my coworker. So I was in like the weirdest situation because I went back and clocked in, and all the therapists in there were like my coworkers, but I was getting therapy from that same place. So I always felt weird about that. I remember telling the story of my second to last year at the company. They had this huge company party, and I was back there partying with all the different therapists, and my therapist was there. It was pretty fun though. I've had some experiences in life. I really have. Yeah, I can't follow. I'm gonna be off this pretty soon though because I reached that 15% battery point and I need to walk back to my car. Oh, I'm probably gonna have a good 20,000 steps today. That's what's up. I did my morning walk. I did like a walk around lunchtime. I did my workout in the evening. You would think it was awkward, but it was only awkward at the very beginning. At the very beginning, when I first saw her in there, I thought it was the most awkward thing ever. But like 5 minutes in, they made me feel so comfortable. That was one of my coolest experiences because I always felt for some reason that even though I was working there, I felt like I was a lesser of a person and a lesser of an employee than them because of my circumstances. Like I came here for therapy. They've all seen me when I was coming to the front desk, checking in for my therapy appointments. Now I'm going behind the desk and clocking in and clocking out, but I still didn't feel, I felt uncomfortable overall because I'm like, they know that I have like a mental health rap sheet. That's how I used to feel. And then the way that they embraced me at that company party, I was like, you know what? Everybody has some kind of issues. I mean, these people might not be getting their counseling from their job, but that doesn't mean that they're not getting it at all. And as a matter of fact, my next job that I was at, I became friends with several of the counselors, and they were all telling me, most of them were telling me that they have a mental health diagnosis. I was terrified of New York when I first moved here. I'm not gonna lie. When I first moved to New York, I spent so much time in my house. It's ridiculous. I didn't leave my house for anything unless I absolutely had to. I think the first time I started leaving my house on a consistent basis was when I had a job to go to. And that was just get on the bus, get to the job, work, get back on the bus, head back home. It was months before I ventured out to go to Manhattan or to go to Brooklyn or the Bronx or wherever. I didn't leave my house because I was coming from a rural, tiny town, country area in Canada. And now all of a sudden I was in this hustle and bustle, cars and people everywhere. There's still places I don't really go, but being outside is just regular for me. I can't stay inside. You're going to New York City in November? Oh, wow. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me on my walk. For those interested, oh, you can't see that. Anyways, 16,000 and I got about 5,000 to get back to my car. But talk to you soon. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and hit the notification bell.